is the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Juan Carlos. So, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of you and all of the support that you guys have been providing the podcast. The numbers that are coming back are phenomenal, and I could not be more excited. They, quite honestly, have exceeded my expectations. So that's just wow. Like top 5% in the world globally, that could not happen without the support that you guys provide day in and day out. And for those of you guys who are listening and tuning in for the first time, the way the Revisionary Podcast works is we bring on guests, usually comedians, who tell a nonfiction story about their lives in which they wish things had gone a little bit differently. Afterwards, I give them an opportunity to tell the same exact story, except this time they can change any facts or details about the story that they would like. After they're done making the changes to the stories, we actually have a quick conversation and discuss the impact of the changes that they've made. So that's the podcast in a nutshell. Today, we're bringing on Dara Jemmott. I'm sure I've butchered her last name, so I apologize, Dara, if you're listening. First and foremost, she's someone that I've worked with a lot and someone I enjoy working with. She's just really down to earth and really easy to have conversations with. So I'm actually very excited for this conversation because of how much I enjoy being around Dara. We actually met because I was running a show at Yonkers Comedy Club, and I quite honestly didn't want to host the show anymore. I wanted to be able to perform without worrying about hosting the show. So I asked Dara if she wouldn't mind stepping up and hosting the show for me. And she actually came highly recommended through a different comedian, and that's actually how we've met. But Dara's actually a regular at the Grizzly Pear, so once things fully open up, make sure you go catch her because I'm sure she'll be back. And she's just, quite honestly, just a wonderful human being. And I know she has like an interesting background. She's been into, I think she used to work in fashion, I want to say. So, but either way, I'm excited for this conversation because I love talking to people from diverse backgrounds. I think it just creates these interesting dialogues. So we'll see how this goes. And without further ado, let's see if we can get Dara on the line.
Hey, Dara, how are you?
Oh, my goodness, Juan Carlos. I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. I mean, I'm glad that you've agreed to do this with me.
Yes, I did just wake up, so I do have on my sexy wake-up voice.
So, for those of you guys who are listening, if you remember, during the Gianmarco episode, we discussed how morning time for the comics is usually later than the average person. I think it is currently 5 p.m.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, I've been up. I watched the Lovecraft Country, but like up was like 11:30. And then I went with what the body said, and the body said, you deserve rest. And I said, you know what, body? I do.
Of course, it's all about self-care. You got to take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Wow, okay. So what have you been up to?
Oh, my goodness. I've just been trying to stay as busy as possible so that I can stay as sane as possible. So that looks like doing as many outdoor shows as I can in parks and on rooftops. And I just got back from Maine, which was a wonderful experience. And I've also been doing a lot of like DIY projects at home. I've been making custom tie-dye reusable t-shirt bags for people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is just really funny because I'm like doing the creative part and doing the functionality part is just really interesting because I used to only have to do the functionality part when I worked in corporate America doing product development.
Right.
So it's just, I'm like, when I'm giving it to people, I'm like, I need to make sure that this can hold 10 pounds, you know? And I'm like, what am I going to do about this raw edge? Nothing, because we don't have time and we can't afford anybody to stitch that up.
Look, that makes sense. Wait, so did you like go into business for yourself?
No, not yet, at least. It looks like my worlds might merge. And some of the shows that I've been doing have merged old worlds with current worlds of comedy, where I moderated a fashion panel and got to interview some I got to interview some fashion designers, which was really cool because I haven't done anything in fashion in a really long time. And I was just thinking the other day about how I could still be doing that and not be doing comedy at all, you know? Like, I knew that I wanted to get out. I really wasn't sure how I was going to do it. And I was like, all right, here we go. I'm getting out of corporate America. So I was looking to see what I was going to do. I've always kind of been a creative person. I was a failed child actress. So I was like, maybe I have the chops to go back. So I was like taking classes here and there. I took some hosting classes. I took some more voiceover classes, all of that jazz. But I went on a date, and this particular date, as we're passing McDougal, we're actually passing the Grizzly Pear, because he's taking me to Mamoons, because he was listening. A girl loves Mamoons, so we were going. And he was surprising me with that. And as we were getting barked into the Pear, I said, well, you know, and this was years ago. This was like 2014. And as we're getting barked in, the guy says, yeah, come on in. I said, we're going to get food. And he said, well, you can bring the food back. I said, well, if we come back, I'm getting on stage. And my date says, on the first date, you don't know me. He said, no, she's not. She's not funny.
Wow. Based on what?
Based on nothing. He took me on a date where I had to be on my P's and Q's. I was sitting next to his grandmother within the first 15 minutes. Like, come on, brother.
Wait. His grandmother came on the date with you?
Well, we kind of met the grandmother at a Malcolm X event. It was Malcolm X's birthday. We met the grandmother at a Malcolm X event, and then he took me to his job. So, like, there are all these places where I had to be very, you know, a lady.
Put together, yeah.
Yeah, put together, like the well-mannered young lady that my parents raised, you know, not the one that goes ripping and running on the weekends, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's better than what I anticipated. At first, I thought you were telling me that his grandmother was chaperoning this event for you.
Oh, I know. I didn't know she was going to be there the whole time, but you know what? I loved that woman. I wanted it to work just so I could have her in my life.
I mean, look. You can still invite her to Thanksgiving. Isn't there that meme of that guy who accidentally texts the wrong person and now meets up with her every Thanksgiving?
Wait, was that the same one that went to the wedding?
Oh, was there a wedding?
There's a wedding one. Yeah, there's a bunch of homies that ended up going to this real white wedding. It was great. The pictures are awesome. They were like, no, we rolling up.
That's wonderful.
Oh, it's so cute.
Oh,
so,
man.
yeah, grandma wasn't there the whole time.
Right.
But this sparked something in me when he told me that I wasn't funny. And it kind of stayed with me. And when we went into the club, I wasn't heckling. It was crowd work gone wrong.
Right.
And you know it's gone wrong when the host is laughing at my replies more than the punchlines. Like, I didn't understand structure, none of that. Like, none of it. I knew I was in a comedy show. I also knew I was pissed off at this dude. But when he said that to me, it fueled something. And so then fast forward a little bit, and I'm with my family, and I'm deciding that comedy is something that I want to do. And I came out to my family when I had them all together, because that's what you have to do as a comedian.
Right. You have to come out.
You have to come out. You have to tell them that, especially I'm working this very cute corporate job, right? Mm-hmm. I work for a very big company that gets a lot of dudes laid when they buy this lingerie on special occasions and birthdays. Making coin. All right.
Right.
I'm about to ruin everyone's life.
Wait, did this company have a secret? I just want to make sure. No, never mind. Don't answer that.
A very, very big secret I'll never tell.
Got it. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, go on.
So I didn't know how they were going to respond, and everyone was so supportive. They started showing me clips of Trevor Noah, like well before he was where he was now. I think right after he came out with his special. And everyone gets up from the table at the end of the conversation. My grandfather looks at me. He said, the great comedians do two things. They make people think and they make people laugh. And it's now your job to make them laugh at what you're making them think about. And I was like, all right. He said, now go kick ass. And I was like, wow.
That's amazing.
Thanks, Grandpa. That was amazing. And then he died a week later. So I was like, man, I really have to be a comedian now.
Yeah.
So,
You
I
kind of have
started-
that pressure now, huh?
right? Like, no pressure, Grandpa. Thanks for the gem of information. And now you're gone. I can't even be like, no, just kidding. I decided to stay at my cute corporate job.
No, you're in. Okay, go on. Sorry.
I'm all in. So here we are. So I started telling everyone I wanted to be a comedian, and thank God people, my friends believe in me. So a friend told a friend who was working with a restaurant, and the bartender was a comedian, and she was like, talk to this dude. His name was Vince. And I went and had a conversation with him. He let me bark for a spot at the show that he had. And I did my first 5. That was like trash, but the fun bit. And I was like, oh, I like this. and then I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get like more shows, because I can't just jump on Ben's show every week.
Right.
So I ran into Pete Burdett.
Of all people.
Of all people. And he's trying to tell me to come to this show, and I'm trying to tell this man I want to be on a show. So
right.
he fixes his face and was very nice to me.
Uh-huh. And
then he sent me down to PD, who was at Greenwich, and I came back, and that was one of my first mics. So I'm still working this corporate job, and I can't do mics and work this corporate job because I'm just not going to be beat up all day like that. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to find this balance. It wasn't working. I was trying to find it for like 2 years. Finally, I'm in Greece. I'm on vacation.
Right.
And I get a text from a number I don't recognize, and it says, hey, we need to talk before you come back into the office. Now, there had been murmurs the week before I left, but I was telling everyone whatever's going to happen is going to happen without me, because I will be in Greece. Thank you very much.
Right.
So I was in Mykonos, and I call the number back for my Friends International line, and it was my boss, and she did not realize it was me. And she says, oh my goodness, I just got a text back from Dara. She's trying to figure out when she should call. What should I tell her? I said, blankety blank, hey, this is Dara. What is it you would like to tell me? And she says, oh. And she says, hey, there's some things happening, and I just need to get so-and-so on the phone so that we can have this conversation. Now, I did say to my friend, hey, I think they might be trying to lay me off. And my friend said, they can't do that without HR on the phone. And you know who so-and-so was? HR.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is getting interesting. This is getting spicy. So they called me back. We're on our way to a restaurant where I had already had my eyes on the waiter and this ragu tagliatelle and a large glass of Jameson at this point. And they call me back, and they tell me that they're no longer in need of my services, and I'm overlooking one of the most beautiful views of this harbor that I've ever seen. And I'm like, that's fine. How much you paying me?
Right.
And when I come get my stuff. Uh-huh. And then I'm going to go eat this ragu tagliatelle.
Okay.
Because if this is supposed to be sad, it's not. I've been trying to figure out how to get out of here for years.
I don't even want your paycheck anymore.
Exactly. You don't want me there. I don't want to be there. I had actually put in my calendar to quit May 2nd. And this conversation took place like April 16th or something like that.
Right.
Like April 11th. So they said Monday you can come back and we're paying you 3 months. I said, fantastic. I went and had a great old rest of my Greece trip, flew back. They said, we want you to come in at 10:30. I said, I don't work for y'all no more. I'll see you when I see you. And I got I don't, your request is a nil to me. I don't care about your request anymore. I felt free as a bird. And as I packed all my stuff, and they were nice enough to mail a lot of it home for me. And as I carried my stuff, I coincidentally had signed up for a comedy class because I realized I was flailing and these mics were not kicking the way I wanted them to. So I needed some structure and direction.
Right.
And it had landed on the day that I had gone and picked my stuff up. And I remember walking, and it was at Comic Strip, and I remember walking to Comic Strip and saying to myself, I will never go back to a cubicle.
Mm-hmm.
It will never happen again. And 6 years later, I've kept that promise. So, 4 years later, I've kept that promise. So, that is, I could have been living in a completely different life right now. I could be, at home and making cute coin in quarantine, but I would not be as happy.
So, okay, hold on. So let's backtrack here a little bit.
Let's do it.
What was your plan? You had put it into your calendar to quit on May 2nd, but what was the plan?
I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm not judging.
I was going with the universe, okay? I was going with God. I knew I didn't want to be there anymore. And sometimes we wait for these things to happen. I didn't know that I was going to be laid off before I decided to quit. But I knew I had to get out of there. And it might have taken some drastic measures, which it did, in the long run. I had to do a complete lifestyle change. But it was, well worth it. Whatever it looked like to walk out was worth it.
So, okay. Was there something specific that happened that led to your unhappiness at the job?
No, not in particular. I mean, overall, it's a good company. It's just, I think as someone who's very creative, when you put yourself in a space where you aren't able to kind of have that artistic expression in any form, you slowly feel yourself start to die. And then you either have a choice where, and then you fill those things with other things. I would travel, I would go out and eat and all of those things and, find happiness in other ways. But when you're not feeding your soul, you start to drown. So it just was me feeling for a really long time that I could feel myself being unhappy and I no longer wanted to feel like that.
Got it. It's funny. So it's interesting listening to your stories because I find that the one thing that you mention is the familial support. And I know that me personally, when I was going through the process, I was actually very concerned about how my parents and my family and my friends would react to learning that I wanted to pursue a career in comedy.
I mean, it's a huge thing. I think the fact that I've always done creative things, they were the ones that put me in. I had a manager when I was 6,
Right.
So the fact that I'm going back to this is like, okay, but my mom was the biggest supporter with that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's no longer here. So I think the interesting thing is the people who would support me the most in this are no longer here. And they're the only ones that matter in my brain.
Right.
My brother has been supportive. My dad would much rather me, have on a suit in someone's office right now, but he'll be all right.
He'll live through all of this.
He'll be fine. I'll buy him an Austin Healey in a few years and he'll be all right.
Okay. Let me ask you this then. What exactly would you do differently? So if you were to retell the story, what would you change?
Let's see. All right. So I'm going on this date with this dude.
Right.
And we would go to the Shabazz Center for Malcolm X's birthday celebration. And I meet his wonderful grandmother. And next to his grandmothers, I forgot to mention, were Malcolm X's 4 daughters, pardon me.
Oh, really?
So it was a little intimidating, but I loved the grandmother. And I already had visions in my head about us having like holidays together because the grandmother was dope. This is why I don't meet family, because the family likes me and then I like the family and then we're stuck. So,
I mean, you could have still texted the grandmother, right?
I really should have gotten her number.
Right? Nothing's stopping you.
Yeah, I should find her. I just don't know if she's on social media, but I could do some tracking. So
Put out a Craigslist ad.
Exactly. I'm looking for this dude's grandma who's seen it.
Sorry.
So
Go ahead.
we're on this date, and it was really great. I wanted to stay at the event and talk to the grandmother more, but he wanted to take me to his old job, which was at like a music venue, and there was something going on that night, and it was really nice, and I enjoyed it. And as the night was going on, I did feel myself get a little hungry, and so I was like, I wonder when he's going to throw some food in here in this plan. So as we're leaving, he's like, I have a surprise. And I was like, what is it? He's like, we're going to go get some mamoons. And
by the way, just so we can help those who've never been to New York or who've never heard of mamoons visualize, why don't you tell them a little bit about what that is and why it's special?
Oh, yeah, because it's going to sound crazy when I say it out loud. I feel like people need a glossary for my episode for all the things I'm saying. I think I'm like, what did she say again? So, mamoons. I want you to picture something that is the size of a closet, like a walk-in closet. And there are like 4 dudes back there making some of the best falafels and shawarmas you'll ever have. And they've been doing that in that little tiny little place since, I believe, 1977. They've since expanded. They have some other, they have at least one other location I know about that I believe is on 8th Street, St. Mark's. But they have hot sauces galore. I would suggest putting the hot sauce in the tahini and have them mix it up because it will make your butt hurt if you just have the hot sauce alone. But if you want what I like to call a shawaffle, it's a falafel and a shawarma, and you get that bad boy with some hummus, lettuce, tomato, and then put that tahini in the hot sauce together, mix it together. You don't want your butt to burn the next day.
Hold on, I gotta ask you this question, and this is the type of question that might start a fight between groups of people who've lived in New York for any amount of year.
Sure.
Is it better than halal guys?
I feel like that's a different bag, yo.
I mean, pick your words carefully. Keep in mind, there are New Yorkers who listen to this. You don't want them coming for you.
No, I know. But here's the thing. Mamoons doesn't have white sauce. They have tahini. So if you want white sauce, you got to go to Halal Guys. You know, you're not going to get that white sauce experience. I will say that and then they're selling gyros, you know, like that's a different thing from a shawarma. So, I mean, if we really want to get like to the nitty gritty, there is no comparison. Yeah, it's meat on bread, but let's respect the cultures.
Do it for the culture. And for those of you guys who are listening, just so you know, New Yorkers, we call them gyros. I know the rest of you guys call them gyros, but I like to say that it's not a real New York experience if it's not a gyro with that hard G.
I know. Let me tell you, when I was in Greece, I definitely went someplace and I was like, I'll take a gyro. And they were like, you want a gyro? And I was like, I'm confused.
Which is it?
Which is it? I've been practicing gyro for this whole trip.
You know, I didn't even know it was a thing until I moved to Florida, of all places. I went into a store. I was like, yeah, I'll take a gyro. They're like, a gyro? Do you mean a gyro? And I was like, all right, listen, I'm not going to have you make me out to be the uncultured one. We're in Florida. Thank you very much. You guys built your state on swamps. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. It's like, what?
No, I'm not having it.
No, your opinion, swamp man, ain't it?
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I've distracted you. We've gone too far. Back to your story.
No, you're fine. This is great. All right, here we go. Where are we on? Tzatziki? No, I'm kidding.
So he's taking you to Mamoons.
Okay, so he's taking me to Mamoons. Which I know probably sounds funny to people because it's like not a fancy place. And not to say I'm not a fancy gal, but like there's a dichotomy. I like balance, you know?
Right.
You know, I met him at 4040. Let's go to Mamoons. Let's do both. Get you a girl that does both is what I'm saying.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so as we're going to Mamoons, this guy starts barking us in. And
again, I'm going to explain this again. I should have explained this the first time around. For those of you guys who aren't comedians, why don't you explain? Why don't you tell them what barking is?
Okay. Barking is when, shout out to everyone who barks because we would not have shows without you.
Hard work.
So barking is basically enrolling people in a good time. So they help to generate ticket sales so that we can have ongoing shows. And in agreement, in order to do that, there's stage time and payment. There better be payment also. Don't just do it for stage time like I did, except I'm very happy that I did. But because that dude was doing me a big favor. But yeah, if you sign up to that, make sure that that's a part of the deal, that you are barking for time, and you get a portion of those ticket sales if it is a sold
legitimate
show. Yeah.
If it's legitimate. So
if it's legitimate, yeah, and make sure you're working for legitimate people. Stage time, it's hard to come by, but don't just work with anybody for it.
Right. And look, for those of you guys who are listening, it's just to bring this full circle, for a lot of brand new comedians who are still networking and are still getting their art out there, it's a great way to get your foot in the door because, it's a quid pro quo. People don't know if you're funny or not when you first start. So, they're willing to give you the stage time in exchange for you helping them fill their shows. So it works out for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen barkers who also have their own, or people who bark who also have their own shows, and their shows are constantly sold out because they've exercised the muscles to know how to sell a ticket.
No, that is very true. No, it's an important skill. And, you mentioned Comedy Pete earlier, so shout out to him because he's a legend in the game barking.
Oh, yeah. I love me some Comedy Pete. I really appreciate it because what I did to him was so, it was annoying. It was definitely annoying, but he worked with me. I realized that I started the story from when I went on the date, not telling the family. But let's just act like I had that whole conversation with the family.
Right. You've already told. Okay, so you've told the family at this point. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah. I just want to make sure, like we all know where I am in the story. I've already had Grandpa already gave me all of the stuff, except Grandpa. The only thing I'd like to change in that is that Grandpa didn't die.
Understandably so.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if I can change something, let's keep Grandpa alive.
Of course. Okay. We want him there week 1.
Yeah, yo. Yeah. He beat all that kidney stuff, Yeah, he had to go on dialysis, but like he's doing dialysis right now somewhere, He's kicking it.
Okay.
So Grandpa's still alive. I'm on this date with this dude. Guy's barking us in. The guy says, I'm not funny. And I go in and I completely shut down. And I don't say anything the entire time.
Okay. This is an interesting twist. Go ahead.
Uh-huh. And the comedians, when they try their crowd work, I say things back to them like, I didn't come here to work. This is your job. And then I say other things like, why are we here? I don't know why I'm super bratty in this, but this is fun.
I like it. I'm liking this energy from you because this is not who you are in person. So keep going.
No, it's not. It's not. It's like I'm creating this character of a person because this is now, this is the revision.
Right. This is the Revisionary podcast. I get it. By the way, for those of you guys who haven't met Dara, let me tell you, she is an absolute sweetheart. Like, she is like one of the nicest people I've ever met. I'm just being honest with you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. There are probably a few people who would beg to differ, but I appreciate you saying that out loud for the people. No.
So, again, notice that I said she was nice to me. Like, that distinction, nice to me.
That's right, because you deserved all my love and kindness. Who wants what? I believe in the good energy that you put out is what you get. So I like to, I like to put out good energy to people so that, we can keep this whole thing balanced.
Right.
This is not the energy I would like to give out to people, but this is, the revised story. So yeah, I'm in there just not having a good time and making sure no one else has a good time either. And I'm smacking them on my moons, talking about how my butt's gonna hurt. And then we leave. And then he walks me to the train. I make it very known that I am upset with how the turn of the evening was taken. Mm-hmm. And I get home and he calls me and he apologizes for what he said about me not being funny, even though I did nothing.
He just knows better. Wrong. So what you're changing is he's mature in this story. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm making him a better person than he is. He's welcome. So, so yeah, he calls me and he apologizes for getting me upset with the words that he said to me. How dare he? After doing so well, so we decide to meet up again, and this time it's a very nice date. He takes me. Oh, he takes me to Pasta because he's been listening.
Wait. I'm ashamed to say I don't know what that is.
That's okay. It's a very particular restaurant.
Oh, it's very niche. Got it.
It's this Italian Japanese fusion restaurant on 17th. I forgot the cross streets, but it's really good. It's like around the corner from that Bed Bath and Beyond. I don't even. What?
The one Bed Bath and Beyond.
Well, it's the one that's on, like, I guess that would be 7th Avenue.
Yeah.
It's like near the one down there. I don't know, but I know it's on 17th. The nose and the body knows how to get there, even if you may not remember.
All right, fair.
The feet will get me there. Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite restaurants. I'm giving him credit. Yeah, I'll give him credit. So he takes me there, and I'm like, this is really nice. I like how he's changed this ship, and this is great. All right. So I give him a chance, and, we continue to see each other. And at work, while I am not the happiest, there are some projects overseas that are being launched. We're expanding in Shanghai. There's some few opportunities. And it's exciting things in the company. Can I backtrack real quick?
Sure.
When I got laid off, it was because I did swimwear. I did cover-ups for swimwear. For anyone who doesn't cover up, it's what the ladies put on when they need to get off the beach or the pool and go get like a drink, because apparently the titties are too much for the bar. So we have to cover things up.
Of course, how dare you, want women's bodies to be exposed and let them do whatever they want with their personal space and body.
Exactly. Oh, these hips are offending. These hips don't lie. Okay. I don't need no sarong. I think it's really so the way, I think it's so we don't drip all over the place, but whatever the case is. I used to make that, and I used to make it for the catalog. Both of those things went away. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there was really no need for my job. They could have reallocated me to someplace, but God was listening. No. Okay. Fast forward. So this project, Shanghai, there's a bunch of things happening, right? So I'm hopeful, and now there's this dude who's like listening, and I'm like, what? This is cute. And, society is telling me things like, you got to get married. You gotta have the babies.
Oh, I see. The societal pressures are kicking in for marriage and kids. Got it. Okay.
Yes, because now I'm becoming an unacceptable spinster in society's eyes. I think at this point I had a turtle, so I didn't have cats. Now I'm full-blown cat lady. You never go full-blown cat lady. I'm full-blown cat lady. So here we are.
Yeah. Look, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's okay. I now have 2 cats sleeping in my bed, and I only technically own 1 cat. So it's just a weird life that I'm living currently right now is in today's life.
I see.
At this point, I only had turtles. And so I'm dating this dude. It's really, really cute. And I'm excited about these projects. So, I'm really also excited I need this break. My girlfriends and I were going to Greece. It's going to be fantastic. It's a pretty uneventful trip. But when I get back, I learned that everyone that I worked with got laid off except for me, because they want me to head this project. And because I did this other project, I was like, kind of the only person who knew what was going on. So They had to keep me for this project. And it came with a bonus and a raise. So while it was like red wedding for everyone else, this was looking real sweet for me. This was like this was real cute.
Right.
So so I I decided to stay, and I thought, and I think about the advice that my grandfather gave me, and I find my ways of entertaining people through hosting parties and galas and fundraisers because, what else is there to do with time and money? And I have like a kid.
What's going on? Are you choking? All right. So we're going to take a quick
Gross
schedule
when
break.
it got to the kids. I was about to say I had 3 kids and I couldn't even formulate the sentence. I'm sorry.
So not even in your fake story can you have kids, is what you're telling me?
No, I'm not saying that. I just could not picture myself with 3 kids right now, but doing galas and stuff with my husband and not being like the whole. The vision. I mean,
I'm teasing.
no, I mean, I want to say I'm teasing too, but for me right now, I'm just very happy where I am with this life. So this revised story, although I want Grandpa to be alive, is like making my neck hurt.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, let's backtrack for a second here. So it sounds like you gave him a second opportunity despite his, ill-advised comment. Why didn't it work out? Because it sounds like in your revision, you keep dating him.
Yeah, the reason why I just made it him, because it was easier than just trying to find someone else at the moment, is because it was highlighting of just grasping things that are in front of you rather than letting things go, because there's better things out there for you. So in the revised story, I just took him back, whether I was very interested in it or not. And because he looked good on paper, I meant to also make him gay.
Oh, okay. See, that's huge.
I forgot that. And then years later, I find out that everybody liked a little dick.
Oh my God.
I know.
Let's discuss the impact of these changes you've made. How do you think they would have affected you if things had gone a little differently? Like, let's start with the more serious one. Do you feel your comedy career would have been a little different? Like, you feel like you would have been a little more supported if your grandfather had still been around?
I don't think I would have been any more or less supported from my family standpoint. I think he would have loved to see like a show, but my dad's been to shows, my uncle's been to shows, my cousin made a show before she died. Like a bunch of my cousins have been to shows. So it's like I feel the family support. And actually from his death, I took on creating a family reunion because I hadn't been to one on that side of the family. And I'm like, all right, I know there's all this family because I only see you guys at funerals. And I'm like, can we just like get together at a park or something? So I actually was able to get closer to my family after his death. So I don't even know if I would have had as much support, if I didn't actively go out and try to reconnect with family after his death.
And okay, and you also mentioned a revision in which you had headed up a project. Do you think that you could have been happy at your company, or like what was like? Do you feel like if you were the head of the project, you would have had more of a creative outlet?
No, I just wanted to travel.
Look, hey, I'm here for it. I support this fully.
I just wanted to travel because here's the thing. What I was doing, there was no creative freedom. As a product developer, you are creating someone else's vision.
Right.
And it's really just about being able to have the foresight of avoiding fires and putting unforeseeable fires out. And being able to keep promises, and manage expectations and beat expectations. None of that is really creative. There's creative ways to solve every solution. I mean, and find every solution and solve every problem. But there was no kind of like creative entity there. The reason that I stayed in product development that long is because I wanted to travel and I wanted to see the world, and all the factories were in exotic places. That's how I was able to go to like Sri Lanka and Taiwan and Korea and Hong Kong. I wouldn't have been able to go those places if it wasn't for that time period, and Shanghai,
I didn't realize how well traveled you were.
I'm on my 3rd passport, baby cakes. Yes.
Okay. Snaps to you.
Thank you. Yeah. So.
I mean, So am I, but mostly because my first couple expired. All right, so we don't need a.
Oh yeah, someone threw out my second one, so it's not that.
So here I am outing you. Got it.
Yeah. I'll tell myself it's fine. Look, 40-40 moons. Dichotomy. It's cool.
Right. No, look, I get it. I've never lived that 40-40 lifestyle.
But we eat moons together. But we eat moon.
Even when I was working in corporate America, I really found myself eating not even halal guys, like the off-brand stuff at a different cart that didn't have the halal guy's name.
Oh, dude, my first job, I remember I would really ration out food. Like I would buy the big bag of spinach from the dudes on the corner who sell the fruit and vegetables. And I would buy like a thing of bananas and like 3 cans of tuna and eggs. And then I would just have like spinach salads. And then as it was wilting, I would make like warm spinach with like tuna and an egg.
Yeah, no,
you gotta make it work. New York is for people who make things work.
Absolutely. That's the one thing I would never trade about growing up in New York is how you learn to make a lot more out of very little. You get real creative.
That is what New York is about. I might be throwing out cute things like 40-40, but that is not what New York is about. New Yorkers are about making the best out of what is happening to the left and right of them and what they got in their pockets. You know what I mean? Like, that's why when people are talking about like New York is dead, it's like, no, it's the people who want to be entertained because they have the money to be entertained that think New York is dead. The people who have been doing the entertaining and are just trying to make odds and ends and things work are doing it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We are finding the fun because you know what? We were the fun. We were the entertainment.
Absolutely. We were the entertainment. All right. Let's go ahead. We're going to wrap this up. Let me ask you a few last questions before I let you go.
Sure.
First and foremost, we have a tradition on this podcast where we like to highlight an organization or a charity that usually our guest feels passionate about or something related to what they're discussing. Do you have a charity that you'd like to highlight?
Oh, yes. So one of the great things, speaking of making things work, one of the great things that I was able to do through this comedy journey is teaching improv. I got to teach stand-up with stand-up girls, but I got to teach improv to the children at Children of Promise, which is an organization based here in Brooklyn. And they work with kids whose parents are incarcerated. And they create extracurricular after school and summer experiences for kids. So I taught improv. Other things that they've learned was music, yoga, fashion, karate. They would take them on trips. And it's really beautiful to see the community that they have been able to create and the generations that go through the program. And a lot of people who have gone through the program now work with the kids. So it was really a wonderful experience to work with them. So I would like to highlight them, and please go to their website to learn more.
Sure.
Children of Promise.
Children of Promise. Okay. And the last thing is the last tradition we have here is I like to end this by asking you of a quick story from your childhood that brings a smile to your face or just generally makes you happy whenever you think about it.
Okay, this story, it's a little crazy, but I mean, it's not crazy. No, I'm not going to say it's crazy. I think it's very indicative of who I am.
Right.
And how much I've always been me and how much I love and protect the people around me. So sure. I'm 3 years old and I don't remember this story, but this is the story that my parents used to tell me the most. My father dislocated his shoulder when he was playing football because I guess he thought that that's what he should be doing at 38 was playing tackle football with no pads, and dislocated his shoulder, and we're in the hospital, and the doctor came up and was trying to like move it, just doing his doctor stuff. And I was in the room, which was probably a mistake. And as I saw my father scream in pain, I put my hand on my hip and I looked at the doctor and I said, "Don't you do that to my daddy." That to my daddy. And they had to take me out of the room. So, I love the people around me fiercely and always have.
That's beautiful, and so you. All right. I want to say thank you for coming on the Revisionary podcast. We really appreciate your time and efforts.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was fun. I'm so glad that it's not revised. I'm so happy with the current story. It's so good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
The Revisionary Podcast.
So that is the question of the day. Can we hang out with someone's grandparents who we like without having to hang out with that person? I mean, theoretically, right? You should be able to. Because if your grandma likes me, she likes me. There's nothing I can do about that. Also, maybe sometimes I just want to play bingo, you know what I mean? And that should be okay. But, whatever. I'm really appreciative of Dara for coming on. It's funny, I didn't know that was going to be the story that she was going to share, but I have heard that story before about how that was the moment that led her to pursuing comedy. And she's good at it, and she's done a lot of really cool things in comedy, so I'm glad she was willing to sit down with us at the Revisionary podcast. And I'm glad that you guys are listening as always. And like I like to say at the end of every episode, thank you for listening.
This is